just so everyone knows, I have indeed started my own website at harmansmithbooks.com. That is harmansmithbooks.com. Go on there to get updates on what I'm doing, a blog. You have access to all my books, all my social media. Everything that I do is on there, and it will be a pleasure to continue creating new and interesting content for you for as long as I possibly can. I would say today is a bad day for Korra fans, but that's pretty much every day for the past 14 years. Like, how are we still going through this, man? Like, I don't get it. We're still going through this process of people just being completely incapable of admitting that Korra is quite possibly one of the worst fictional characters ever. Okay, like, I don't know. I can't think of anybody who's more obnoxious, more self-serving, more of a Mary Sue. You know, people always go off about, like, Rey Skywalker. Rey is not as bad as this, okay? Rey at worst is like a stereotype when it comes to like female girl boss characters, but she's pretty basic and by the numbers. If she wasn't like a Star Wars character, I don't think she would nearly be as disliked. Korra is so much worse. And I think it goes like far beyond anything that we've seen in like any other piece of media, because I think usually what happens is that these female characters come out, they spearhead like a handful of projects, and then they're kind of forgotten about. They get kind of retconned, or like people just ignore them, or they just fall by the wayside or whatever. Korra's kind of interesting because Korra's stayed pretty relevant for in the Avatar franchise for the past 10 years. And I think a big part of that is because of the lack of new material, but there's also this weird denial from the community that the character has been a complete and total flop, that nobody really likes her, and that any defense for she has entirely hinges on the fact that she is a female character, essentially. It's like there's just no real defending this character from like a creative standpoint. There's no real reason to like her or be invested in like her series, or like, you know, about the potential future of Avatar products. You know, like, no, it's entirely just activists trying to push an agenda. And that's been the case for a long time. But like, the masses just don't want to admit it. Like, the masses just want to like bend over backwards and make excuses for this garbage character. I went into this on my website, by the way, harmansmithbooks.com, where I addressed like the problems with modern day Avatar and just what a train wreck it's been, and how like the masses are just unwilling to admit it. I talked about how in the new series, like, the implication is that Korra was such a terrible avatar that like it completely destroyed the world. But I'm certain what's going to end up happening instead is that the world was doomed already, and that like Korra managed to like save it. Like, they're going to go like really hardcore character shilling to try and like salvage the character's reputation, essentially, by leaning into like the common reception to the character. And it's not going to work. If anything, it's going to make the character more disliked and more like historically like nonsensical. But that's not what this video is about, because Korra is such a terrible character that she retroactively is making better Avatar material worse. Because obviously, you know, I'm not a fan of the original series. I've always been very upfront about that. But like, there's no denying it's significantly better than Korra. I think even hardcore Korra fans tend to acknowledge that. But like, the thing about like Avatar right now is that like it's desperately leaning into nostalgia to try and stay relevant. So on top of like everything else, you have a live action remake. You have the comic series. You have the new animated movie, right? That's like 3 concurrently running projects that just are abusing and just retconning everything in the original series, like, to try and keep people invested in it while they try desperately to pivot away and like try and expand like the series outside of the initial story and concept. So they're becoming increasingly reliant on the classic brand, and that's leading into the video games, right? Because they're releasing a fighting game right now that features the original cast, and Korra's in it too. I think I believe Korra's the only character from Korra that's in it, which I think speaks volumes about how like nobody gives a shit about any of the characters in Korra outside of Korra herself. But like, we were told going into this that like this was going to be a great fighting game. It was going to really pay heedance to like Avatar lore. It was going to be like this huge deal. It was going to be this like amazing thing. It was really going to do a lot for the characters, even though it doesn't really make any sense for like two avatars to be existing concurrently and for these characters to be interacting. It's just like it just feels forced and contrived. It's kind of like with the Dragon Ball Dragon Ball Fighters thing, where like adding in a bunch of like nonsensical movie tie-in characters and super characters into it just kind of ruined whatever like credibility it had as a fighting game. Like, it just feels as if it's like some goofy like what if scenario thing instead of like an actual viable like product that actually respects the source material, right? And that was very self-evident to me from the beginning. Like, even though everyone else was glazing it, like, oh man, I get to play as Korra and I get to beat up everyone else in Avatar. Like, the reality is it didn't make any sense, and it just completely failed to impress any serious fighting game competitor right out of the gate. And there were people like Max Dude trying to shill this. And but like the reality is it just wasn't that big of a deal, and it wasn't that impressive. So now that the game is out, or it's coming out, I have no idea. We know a little bit more about it, and they made some really weird character decisions with this one. Like, the thing I noticed immediately was like the terrible voice acting, because they cannot get people to sound like the original actors. It's been a problem for a while, but like hardcore fans of the original are just really put off by the fact that like they cannot get people who sound like the original cast. But that in of itself isn't the big deal. Like, the big deal for me is that in order to further their agenda, in order to try and make Korra come off like an alpha bitch, like, they have Korra enter a lesbian relationship with Azula, which in and of itself makes no sense. It's just ridiculous. But like, what's also absurd is like the insane age gap, because I think this is 21-year-old Korra and like 14-year-old Azula. So like what you're seeing here is a lesbian pedophile relationship promoted by a children's cartoon series. Like, I don't know if the writers didn't know like Azula's actual age, because I feel like a lot of people would assume like she's older than Zuko when she's actually quite a bit younger. It's really common to for fans to fetishize the characters anyway. It's like the most pedophile adjacent cartoon series in existence. I would argue, like, it's really common to fetishize all these characters. So like, I feel like the creators are leaning into that a little bit, but like it's really gotten out of hand, and it's really getting to the point where like they're really truly incorporating this thing into like actual official material. So like, I guess pedophilia is okay if Korra is doing it. Like, is that what Avatar is telling us? Like, unbelievable. It's just insane. I'm sure it's not like the only thing that they've done in this game that's weird and kind of off kilter and doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I'm sure there's like tons of other examples of things that are going on that need to be addressed, but like by and large, the fact that they did something like this, I just feel as if it's an attempt at making Korra look like amazing, okay? Like, oh man, like Korra was able to fix Azula. Like, she's so amazing. Oh man, she's the greatest avatar ever. And it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, being a lesbian is not fixing anything. I just I don't understand. Do you really believe that like Azula's like deeply held psychiatric issues are gonna be cured by becoming a lesbian? It's just silly, and it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. But it really just goes to show you just how what the problem with Avatar is right now is that they are desperately, and I do mean desperately, trying to make everything gay instead of like trying to like actually tell a story and actually be innovative and actually push the story forward. Like, they are more interested in gaslighting you into thinking that the Fire Nation was always pro homosexuality before like Sozin got rid of it or something than they are in actually like, you know, telling a story that people could get invested in. Like, never mind the fact that that's obviously not true. And that's something the woke creators came up with, like, after the original run was already over. But, like, it just shows you what their priorities are. You know, like, they want to normalize this kind of thing instead of actually expanding on, like, the world or the setting or coming up with, like, interesting scenarios. Like, this is their focus now. This is their primary thing, is promoting degeneracy. Like, how many Avatar characters are like considered like LGBTQ now? Like, it's just like, it's like more than 2. I can think of 2, but like it just defies belief, honestly. And it's something that we do need to address, is like, is causing real problems with like the brand and like these series as a whole. Because Korra was like, the entire thing was just this like crazy relationship drama bullshit that had like the craziest resolution ever. And it's just like, what about the actual plot? Like, they didn't focus on like actually building a narrative. They didn't actually focus on interesting characters or like how the world has grown or changed. Like, this was their focus, was like petty high school drama bullshit. Like, and I feel like a lot of people are just very unwilling to like admit that. Like, a lot of people are just like very, very much unwilling to admit that there's like a very big problem with how they go about these kind of things and how they write these characters, and especially how they try to rewrite older characters to try and fit their agenda. And I think that's going to be the big problem going forward, is that they're going to continue butchering the classic cast to keep pushing this kind of nonsense. And that's something that I think is going to like keep destroying the brand outright going forward. I feel like the Avatar thing is primarily a millennial phenomenon. I don't think Gen Z like it as much. I think Gen Z is purely on like the anime camp, you know, as you should be. You know, anime was always superior. But like, the simple fact of the matter is, like, this never really should have been allowed to happen to begin with. Like, this is the kind of thing that like executives need to step in and stop. Like, the fact of the matter is, they butchered their sacred cow to try and push their woke agenda. And yeah, this very well may be the last time that Avatar is like relevant, honestly. Like, you know, they have their new series coming out and nobody's excited about it. Like, all anyone can do is bitch about Korra. And once this series comes and goes, like, are they really going to put more time and effort into the next one? Like, already people are talking about how the animation is quite a huge step down from Korra. You know, a lot of people are like noticing that like it just doesn't look as good, and that there's like all these weird problems with like the lore and the continuity and the characterization. Like, there's all these things wrong with it. Like, we really do need to address the fact that Avatar is on the way out. And like Star Wars before it, it really has no future. The only reason people are clinging onto this brand the way they are is out of a sense of nostalgia and this refusal to accept that Avatar: The Last Airbender was never that good to begin with.